Now I want to continue working with transitions here. So let me make a mark in on my timeline, and I'm going to go to the end of my timeline and make a mark out. So I have an in point and an out point. Now I'm going to press the quick transition button. That's the one with the eraser up top. I'll keep the dissolve, I'll keep the frames. I want it on my A1, not A2. And yeah, I'm fine with that. And now I'm going to press add, and what you see appear here is it added a, actually let me do that over again. It only added the dissolve at the end, and there's a reason for that. So let's take that dissolve off. So now I'm going to click the quick transition button. And again, I'm going to select A1 and not A2. Keep that dissolve. Starting at cut, ending at cut. I'll keep it centered at cut. That's fine for now. And there's a button right here. Apply to all transitions, in to out. Let's check that button. And now let's hit add. And notice it added the dissolves in between each time it cut from the in point all the way to the out point. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dissolves added on just by pressing a few buttons. And if I hit the letter G, that'll clear my in and out points. So say if I want to modify these quick transitions that I just put on in my Smart tool palette all the way on the left side here, notice you have the transition manipulation button, and it's turned on for me already. I'll turn it off just so you can see with my cursor where on the timeline all the way to the left that I am. And now I'm going to turn that manipulation button back on. So when I do that, now I'm going to go over one of the purple squares. So I'll just check the one over here, where near my indicator here, and notice I have a double line appear above the points here. So if I drag the point in, a finger appears, and I can actually shorten the dissolve and how long I want it to be. And I'm going to do it on the opposite side too. So right there, just by doing that, I can now apply and shorten it there. And if I put my cursor in the middle of the effect, notice a hand appears. That hand allows me to move the entire effect and where I want it to be placed. And I actually moved it to the end of the cut. If I take that hand again, I can actually drop it in the center of the cut. And then if I take the hand again and move it, I can actually make it where it's ending at the previous cut. So I'm going to put it back to the center. So that's my transition manipulation. I can make some really good tools. As long as that button's turned on, I can manipulate my footage, which is really good. You can also even replace transitions even. So again, that's one thing we've gone over in class is how to replace them. So right now I have a dissolve button on. So say if I want to go to my effects are on, and I'm going to go to the option that says blend, and then I'm going to go to dip to color here. That's my second one underneath 3D warp. Now I'm going to drag it over the effect right here, and notice it's blue. I'm going to let go, and I can see that it was replaced because the effect, knowing that it's dipped to color, it's got that yellow inside. So it's not your normal dissolve. So when I let it go, it changed the effect just by dragging another one right on top of the clip, which was very helpful. So that's really how, really helpful tricks when you're doing effects. Another thing that you can do is here, notice that green little dot here. That means that it hasn't been rendered. So I need to render that effect before I'm done. If there's a green dot anywhere, that means these effects need to be a little bit. If you need to render, just so you know, that is all the way in my clip right here. You have render at position, that's wherever your indicator is. Or I can make what I like to do, I like to make in points and out points. So if I go to the in, or if I go home and press end and press O, the entire timeline selected, I can go to clip and I can render into out, and it's going to render, and now it won't lag anymore, and it's made files for my effects. Another thing that you want to do is you want to change the look of an effect. That's really important. So let me go back to my first clip here, and let me go to in my purple square here. And if this purple square for whatever reason is missing in your project window, if you press Control and the number 8, I'm going to go to Image. And then I'm going to go to Flop. And a lot of these you have flip-flop, you have flip, you have flop, you have a bunch of things you can do. You have resize. So I'm just going to do flop, and I'm just going to drag it right on top of my color corrected clip. And notice they switch places, the two gentlemen. I'm going to Command Z, and they switch spots, right? So that's something that is easily can be done. If we do flip-flop, drag it on top, now they're upside down. So there's a couple of things where you can change the look of how it is. Now if I want to do what I just did, that flip-flop to a number of effects, remember, you know, I'm in segment mode, which I am, which is the red arrow pointing to the right, so I know I'm in segment mode. Select multiple things on the timeline, and now say if I want to add the effect to multiple clips, right? So I don't want to just add that flip-flop to one clip. I want to add it to multiple clips. Now let me add the effect to more than one clip by selecting it, that flip-flop, holding Shift, dragging it, and actually I don't even need to drag it. What I can do is hold Shift and double click, and it should primarily add that effect to into all the clips. I have a lot of dissolves here. I have a lot of stuff going on here on my timeline on the you know, on the effect. So I'm going to hold this clip, and I'm going to hold Shift. I'm going to select the clip next to it. So now let's select the flip-flop, and by double clicking that, look at how it went to the clip in the first one and the clip in the next one. If I held Shift, now if I undo that and hold Shift, select all three of those, and select flip-flop, it adds it to all three of my clips. Right? So that's basically some quick tools in Avid Media Composer and changing the image.